You're listening to the forum on CHRW. This is a place for students to ask questions and hopefully foster conversations. It is a safe place for students to come in and ask the questions that might be on their mind without fear of how they're going to be judged. It is for the students and by the students, which means you're not going to hear lecturers and professors come in, but it's simply going to be students asking questions and maybe sparking a conversation. And we're back. I need to come up with something better. And if anybody has a suggestion for it, I'd really appreciate it. Because we haven't gone anywhere. We were literally just sitting here talking about things. And another gentleman in the room brought up a point that I'm about to bring up. Mm-hmm. But just to clarify, so we're sitting here, and this is the forum on CHRW, and we're talking about Pokemon today. Yeah, really. Pokemon Go specifically. I'm joined by Marcus, Jill, Michelle, and Koki.
Yeah.
All right.
2 for 2.
Hey, if you know how bad I am with names, this is a massive success for me. Today has already started off as a good day. Awesome. And doing the forum and talking with you guys is always a good thing. So we were talking about the negative aspects, and specifically how the algorithm attaches Pokestops to memorials, IDs. The other side of it is certain Pokemon spawn. Oh, God. There we go. At certain areas, they've attached them to certain things. So obviously, having ghost Pokemon and Ghastly spawning at Auschwitz, but I don't think that was actually intentional. I think that was these things are known to be, there are certain things associated with Auschwitz, and the algorithm said, "Oh, hey." So, and again, Niantic was actually really, really quick to fix that one, and I'm sure they were probably pretty quick to fix Auschwitz, but there seems to be this negative aspect that, oh my God, there's all these Pokestops at memorials and plaques in historic places and stuff like that, and I'm trying to see how this is a negative. So Michelle brought up that it could potentially be a negative.
Potentially. I think, again, this is probably something that they just didn't think about. So it's completely unintentional. And I don't want to be a person who's super negative about things. I think I don't
think anybody could ever call you super negative.
But I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to technology and things are taken too seriously, and I think we need to understand that it's not intentional, but at the same time it was probably in poor taste that should have been thought about a little more. And I'm only saying that it could potentially be disrespectful, not on the creators of the game's part at all, because again, it wasn't intentional. But I think just knowing people my age and the reasons that they're going to be around these places, I think a lot of people my age are disrespectful, and that's the biggest problem. You're talking about how, it's a great thing that people are going to these places and seeing them and actually visiting them. There's a lot of places we wouldn't know about without these Pokestops. But I think, teenagers suck sometimes. That they don't, they're not going to these places being like, oh, look at this amazing museum I discovered. They're going, potentially, going on property that's private, just to get these. So they're being they're going about it in disrespectful ways.
And you laughed a little too hard when she said teenagers are stupid sometimes.
They suck.
They suck. I agree.
It's been a long time since I was a teenager. And the past year I've hung around with people who are literally half my age. So it does strike my funny bone. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. No, we will talk about the trespassing thing briefly when we talk about warnings and stuff like that. And it's on my list anyway. But the idea is, the other side of that argument, I guess, is, unless somebody else wants to present it, or is it all going to be me? No? All right, cool.
Go ahead.
I'm always the voice of dissent. Anytime that somebody's going to these memorials, even if you look at them on the Pokestop, it shows you what they are. You can actually read the text on it.
Yeah, there's a subtext underneath.
Yeah,
each one.
or even the picture. I mean, if we're looking at plaques and stuff like that, it tells you it tells you what it was. And anybody who's reading these things, you're now learning. And again, the intent is not to make you learn, just like it's not, the intent is not to get you out and physically active. But as a byproduct of this, how many pieces of art are being discovered on Western campus right now that people walk by every day without even thinking that is a piece of art? I'm sure that the 4 square piece of artwork
that one just came to mind.
The metal art.
Yeah,
there's all that stuff.
That's just
exactly.
that's just across from social science.
Not gonna lie, I used to think that was a bike rack.
I'm sure that 90% of the people thought that it was a bike rack.
Do people walk bikes onto it? 'Cause I'm
People
trying to
do.
imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know.
do they? Yeah.
That's a piece
I
of
thought
art.
it was just a
That's
bike
art.
rack.
It's not a bike rack.
That's a piece of art.
Shoot.
Yeah.
That's
No, and how many people are now learning that this is now a piece of art and not a piece of art? Or how about just down from that? There is that it's rusted and it's supposed to be rusted, but it's the artwork of a person running and it's cut out.
Yeah.
How many people walk by that every day if they're going from the UCC to say NatSci or all the other places that nobody else cares about? They're not social science, so it doesn't matter. How many people walk by that every day and don't realize that it's there, that it is a piece of art, to think about it? And now you're going, oh, hey, there's a Pokestop around here. What the heck? Oh, hey, look at that. Personally, I think the gym that's right beside social science is a bit ridiculous. The metal statue gym.
Yeah.
I haven't actually found it.
Really?
I don't even know
That's
what it
funny.
is, but I know where it is.
I don't know.
You know, so I start to wonder if it is a negative that they're doing this. People are getting upset, and I almost wonder if it's this sense of ownership that it's almost that hipster quality that I knew about this. This is my sort of thing, and now that it's become popular, you know, that, oh my God, keep away from my stuff. I knew the band before it was cool.
Right.
So
I think it might be the same thing about the exercise argument, that we're getting people to exercise without them really thinking about it. It's kind of like we're getting people to see new things.
You mean cultured?
Yeah, when that wasn't
With
initially
the air quotes.
when
Yes.
it wasn't initially the intention. So I think it's like trying to make the best of what we have instead of getting people to change their ways and want to go out and exercise. We're tricking them into doing it. So it might be kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
that we're tricking them into like discovering all these places that's totally not their intention. That's not what they're interested in. That's not why they're playing Pokemon Go.
And to touch on the whole issue with people who may have been fans of the Foursquare art for the longest time. I'm not saying that you don't exist. You're probably out there somewhere. But the fact is if they're sitting there, that was a little savage.
It's okay. It's fine.
I digress.
we're okay with that.
Okay. If they are fans of it, right, then shouldn't they be celebrating that people are more aware of these art pieces now?
Yeah.
Because
art is meant to be appreciated.
exactly,
It's not-
and it almost seems kind
especially
of like
public art like that.
Yeah.
Like outdoors.
it's like in a music context, right? If I like a band and it's just nobody knows about them, suddenly they're big, and if someone came up to me and was just like, hey, you listen to that band too? I just started. I'd be like, awesome, you should check out these songs. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're horrible because you only started listening to them now.
But that happens all
That
the time.
happens
It
all
does.
the
Because
time.
I don't understand why.
It's because we can't have nice things, Mark.
This is why we can't have nice things.
It takes a few bad apples to ruin the batch.
Yeah.
Well, and so this negative aspect, I really don't quite understand because, you know, as we've seen, what they're talking about, the negative aspects, the two main ones, oh my God, people are coming out and, you know, hanging around the park.
Yeah. I think the people.
So yeah, there's this judgmental attitude that, you know, oh my God, you're looking at art, you're reading signs, or at least you're around them. And if you're around them, you're like, well, what is... Well, let's segue, shall we? Is this going to affect student life? I think is the easiest question to throw out there. And if it is,
100%.
how?
I think there's phases of things though. I think there are games and apps that are popular for a short amount of time. So yeah, it's gonna affect us for maybe a year tops. But then there's gonna be something else.
I think this game is gonna last for a while because I think that because Pokemon's been around for so long that it can draw on so many different things, and there are multiple generations of Pokemon, so you can just the fact that people are obsessed with the fact of catching these Pokemon. You can have the argument that certain generations of Pokemon are not as good, but then I don't think people care about that. They care about the act of being able to catch all of them, or catch, and when you introduce extra 100 each generation, that's gonna get people more invested, people more wanting to catch everything, get the strongest Pokemon and all that stuff. So
And as they fix all the glitches in the game, I think that's going to attract more people because there's so many problems with it now, but it's still so popular.
I certainly think that we're just looking at open beta.
Oh, 100%.
yeah.
So there's a lot of room
It's a
for
test.
improvement. So
Yeah.
I think it has a lot more staying power than like.
Do you really?
I think it
Well,
has like a decent
I
amount
think-
of
With
staying
Michelle
I
power.
on
think
this
it's-
one, don't
I
think
also-
it's gonna
I don't
last.
think it will like
I think right
to
now,
this extent for very long.
from what I've
Or
heard
forever.
from like my brother, he was so into Pokemon when he was growing up. I think right now, like it's hitting on a nostalgia thing for a lot of people, and because it's hitting that, like now, yeah, since my brother was so into it, he's the reason I got it because he doesn't have an iPhone or an Android. So now it's kind of like hitting a larger group of people, but I think that's gonna get old.
What phone does your brother have?
He's a BlackBerry.
That's hilarious.
So, one, yes, there is a nostalgia pop, and certainly. However, I was very sneaky, and the reason why I talked about Pokemon being so successful for so long at the very beginning was because I knew we were going to circle around to this.
Right.
So I got my argument in ahead of everybody else. Yeah, the argument for the nostalgia pop and people doing it, certainly. However, there are 5 really, really horrible live-action Transformers movies that have been kept alive and funded
They
by
are.
nostalgia.
Yes.
And they're really bad.
Same with now the Teenage Mutant
But
Ninja
isn't that
Turtles.
gonna get old at some point too?
Yeah.
Transformers have
How
been
long
around
is that
for
gonna
around now.
Transformers has been around since '84.
Really?
Yeah. Also,
The-
like
the-
Transformers didn't start off as a show. It just started off as toys and then became a show.
So,
Like that's how it's been.
but the live action movies have been around since what, 2000, 2002?
yeah,
And they're really, really bad.
they are.
Like, they are atrocious.
But I mean, in that case, like I feel like it's less nostalgia and more just like Hollywood action films.
But so the argument for the game is this nostalgia, or is it another iteration of the Pokemon
Yeah.
games that have been around for 20 years?
I think that the game itself at this point has caused too big a footprint to kind of get out of. Like even just like statistics that I saw, like more people were playing Pokemon Go than their amount of tweets that the Twitter was sending out in like an hour.
That's rather scary.
Yeah, like that's a lot. Like people tweet thousands every second, probably more.
But even if it only even if it fizzles out in a year, we still have one full academic year that we're going to have to deal with this. And
Right.
Koki brought up a point earlier, and when I say, is this going to affect students' lives? Is this, like, one, are they going to be playing this in class?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If everybody's seen or if you haven't, go Google, YouTube search Vaporeon and Central Park, and you will understand what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
That video is annoying.
What? It's hilarious.
funny.
It's hilarious,
It's so
but also
funny.
like the guy getting out of his car in the middle of traffic, like that's funny. I was like, as a driver, I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, okay. Well, let's put this. Other than me, does anybody drive around Western?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it like when students
oh my
are
God. It's impossible.
Yeah, it is.
here? And
It's gonna make it worse.
right, and
Fear in your eyes.
no, like the drivers around Western to begin with in the summer are not good. The students come back, and it's kind of taking your life into your own hands.
Honestly.
And now you're adding an incentive to not
Oh,
pay
God.
attention.
Oh no.
Because we already know, and I'm sorry to generalize, but your generation has a problem with talking on their cell phones or texting and driving. You seem to
Yeah.
think, not you guys particularly, but your generation seems to think that you can look down every few seconds and text while driving.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent that we've had to add laws about this, we've had to, now you drive up Western Road, and my wife is the co-pilot, will sit there and spin all the discs and catch the random Pokemon that pop
Yeah.
up.
That's how you play it.
But
Yeah.
but how many people aren't going to have that co-pilot and are going to try and do it themselves?
Yeah.
And if the answer is one, it's too many. The other side of it, and you say you have friends who take this too seriously. Anybody who plays Call of Duty or any first-person shooter with internet connectivity knows how serious people can take a game.
Right.
Late at night, you will actually see people camping the gyms. What's going to happen when people start taking personal ownership or taking personal offense to this? And people are going to. What's going to happen when, oh my God, did you see those people? They took it again from us.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, to be fair, that already happens.
Yes, it does. But we're seeing it happen with...
Turf wars.
Yeah.
Pardon? Say that again?
Turf wars, yeah.
Yeah. So what's going to happen when 36,000 people... Are we going to see problems with people getting physically responsive to a virtual problem?
So here's where I don't think we're going to see a problem. Because just in general, one of my friends who is obsessed with it, he lives in Wisconsin. He's not from around here. He's very far away. The thing is like, he spent, I think, like $25 on Pokemon Go right now. And he's been playing, like, a lot, like, to the point where it's just like, well, that's kind of ridiculous. I think he's, like, level 25.
Hold on. You can't see it, but Michelle is having a small problem with $25.
Yeah.
She got legitimately sick.
So do you know that within the first week of this game, somebody caught them all?
Yeah, but that's because he cheated.
Partially, but he also spent what, $500 or $600?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
That's a month's rent for me.
Yeah,
I
that
can't
is
do
That's
that.
like
Yeah.
insane.
No, I mean, if you have
cash to
if
blow.
you have the money to spend on it, and this is what makes you happy, please do it. However, carrying on. Sorry, Marcus.
No problem. Like, he's pretty well set up. Like, he's sent me a couple screenshots off of his phone. He's got like 2K CP Pokemon and stuff like that, which means that they're very strong. And generally speaking, you see it, and like, you know how they have the little like gym insignias beside it when you put a Pokemon there? He's got like usually 5 or 6 Pokemon on the gym. And even he acknowledges the fact that like, oh yeah, if you put one on, like, within maybe an hour it's gone. And that's just the reality of it. And you can spend all night just like trying to beat other people who are trying to take it over, but at the end of the day it's just kind of like, whatever. And also too, to kind of discourage that type of behavior, you can only claim rewards for having Pokemon on gyms. So if you put your Pokemon on there, you can go into the shop and there's like a little icon in the corner.
Yeah,
and
you
if you
can
tap
claim
that,
it, yeah.
then you get some lovely Pokecoins, which you have to otherwise pay money for. And I think it refreshes once every, correct me if I'm wrong, like 12
Once every 24 hours.
24 hours. there you
20
go.
hours, actually.
It's 20.
Okay.
It's
That's
20.
so
It's a weird random number.
Yeah.
So then it kind of becomes like, you know what, if these people, like, I just want my Pokemon up there,
But
but you're not going to get it to the point, I don't think, where people will literally be camping there all night, just being like, I'm going to take
I've seen people camp at a gym and like I'll take it with like my horrible Pokemon, and then they will like I'll be there for 5 minutes, and then they'll take it back because
Yeah.
they just want to have that gym. They just like want that gym.
But I think we talked about this before. Like, there's only a few bad apples. I think you're going to see stories about it. We've already seen stories of people killing each other over Pokemon. That, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to be everyone because not everyone's crazy. But yeah, you're going to see people who are aggressive. There are definitely going to be stories about, bless you, about really intense people who, yeah, I mean, Call of Duty, people get in, like,
Yeah.
very aggressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be the same situation. Not everyone, but yeah, there's going to be
Just
some.
yeah. So back to just like student life, how it's gonna affect it. I think it's gonna have very interesting effects on student life because like just like even like from an economic standpoint that Pokemon Go has had on society, like there are businesses that are like having promotions by having a lure set up in their
yeah.
store.
That's- yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
or like
and-
if you're playing Pokemon, like we'll give you like this much like percent.
Yeah,
off
or like
what
if
you
you're Team
buy,
Instinct, you'll get 15%
Yeah.
off. Like that stuff happens all the time, and like it's gonna be interesting to see how that affects students and like even like places on campus or like clubs, like how clubs are gonna get people to come out to events, right? Like that stuff's gonna affect student life in general, and how even like thinking about the USC, like how the USC is gonna promote events. Like I'm on orientation staff, and I help plan orientation week, and like our group has talked about like how we're going to address Pokemon Go because it's huge, and like how are we going to talk about it, and like we've discussed planning stuff regarding like a Pokemon specific event or like stuff like that to get people out or like things like that. So I don't know.
So there are 2 Western Facebook groups for Pokemon Go. Each one has over a couple hundred members each. Forest City Comic Con this year has already organized a event in Victoria Park, which has already got like well over 1,000 people saying they're going to attend. I've seen Victoria Park. It's not that big.
No.
So, so yeah, like we are now actually seeing people starting to, adapt to it already. It's only been 2 weeks.
But okay, hang on. Sorry.
No.
I don't think it's necessarily the technology side of things where it's just like, look at this cool thing, that's awesome, and that's why so many people need to work towards it. I think it's more of a cultural phenomenon thing, which is why it's exploding all over the place.
Honestly, now that I've heard you say that, I'm like, there's got to be like a new Pokemon movie or something.
Oh yeah,
there's gonna be something like that.
They're making a movie.
And then there's
yeah.
gonna be like
the Pokemon
huge spike in numbers.
Well, that's just it. So what you're so there's two ways to look at this, and we don't know, and we're going to be looking at it. But one, is this the start of a new resurgence? No, seriously. Is there going to be another TV show that will get popularity because of this?
Honestly, I hope so.
Will there be another? Will there be another movie that gains popularity that will actually be in mass release because of this?
A studio just got the rights.
If they're smart, and you have to admit, companies that do this are quite smart at taking your money. They will every time that it starts to lag, you release something else to return interest.
Bring it back.
And then it's like, okay, well, the game's done, the movie's done, the hype's done from it. We've got a lag before it hits home video. Let's release battling. Now you can battle your friends. Now we have another spike.
Yeah.
And you can literally ride this for, even if we're being conservative and they only have a 5-year plan. That is an entire generation of university students.
Still a lot of people.
Yeah.
So this is going. So if you're talking about the university, if you're talking about the UCC, if you're talking about professors in class, they are going to have to deal with this for an extended period of time. So the question quickly becomes, what do they do? I certainly don't think that the USC or the university itself should have any say in this.
Right.
This is a personal individual choice.
Yeah.
But if we see something like what happened in New York City Central Park, campus police is going to be concerned. The university is probably going to go, is going on. The USC, I mean, we already have Eddie playing it while he's wandering around. They posted a Twitter pic with him doing it. So, this is, Jill just brought up that we talked to the social aspect of it, and we did talk about the negatives or the negative attention that it's garnered because of it. Oh my God, people are outside. But you brought up that there is a positive social aspect, and I'm assumed that everybody understood that there was a positive social aspect, but you're right, we hadn't even talked about it. So what did you mean, Jill?
Well, I've been walking around campus and I've seen people at somewhere where I didn't have the app open, but I'm assuming it was a gym, and I feel like the more you get a group of people in one space and they're all doing the same activity, there's going to be more people they're going to be talking to each other. People are going to people who are on the same team are going to plan to take gyms and go poke and walk around and play Pokemon Go together, contemplate.
Yeah. Socially, I think the game has done a lot of good things. Also, there was a lot of stuff that people were talking about regarding the mental health aid that it's provided people, because there have been people who I've been getting out of my house because I want to play, and that's helped me with my social anxiety and all that stuff. I think that stuff's amazing. That's great. And
anybody who's ever had to deal with things like depression or stuff like that, if you've ever actually talked to a professional in the field, one of the first and easiest things you can do to help yourself when you are in those moments is to get outside in the sunlight.
Yeah. And get active.
And get active.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Woo, physical activity.
Yeah. And yeah, there is a huge, I will tell you, one day I got really bored when it first came out, and I went over to the University Heights Park. And there were a bunch of people walking around, and they were like, "Oh, did you see anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but back there." And they said, "Oh, well, the one that I was looking for was just down the street. Go walk around." And we sat there and talked, and we passed each other 4 or 5 times, said hi, actually got to talk to each other. There is a huge social aspect to this, and it is I see it as a huge positive.
I want to say something. I just remembered one of the stories when I was at Victoria Park. I think it was the second
Did you get a date?
No, I didn't. I'm happily taken. So basically I was there. It was midnight, and there was just a lot of people in Victoria Park, and that was kind of cool because then I could sit around. And one thing too is that in a strange way it kind of made Victoria Park safer because you were traveling in this pack of Pokemon players, which I thought was interesting. But then these people were riding their bikes around yelling "Oh, get off your phones, Pokemon is horrible." Oh, and I guess that could be argued as a negative thing because they were straight up just you're all trash, and I don't get why you're playing Pokemon here.
Yeah.
To be fair, they didn't seem like they had everything in there. I tapped my head. Then what struck me as strange was a girl got up and yelled at them, just like, well, what, you want us to be sitting at home on our couches instead? And then she got a standing ovation at Victoria Park, which
That's
was just
cool.
like,
That's
She's
cool.
gonna
That's
remember that
actually-
the rest of her life.
Yeah.
That's
was just-
exciting.
that kind of shows that, like, in a weird way, it's
It's built a community.
built
Yeah.
community. And you still are going to get a little bit of negativity for being in that community, but at the end of the day, it's still a community.
Well, and that's I personally think that's probably the best thing that we can hope to get out of this, is that there is going to be this sense of community, this sense of connectivity, this sense of, you get to hang out with your brother, you
Yeah.
get to talk to your father, somebody got a date, yay, awesome, hey, yeah. I don't see how there can be a negative aspect. And you were talking about running around on their bike yelling at people. Why? What are you going to get out of that? What is the incentive to do this?
Because they
Because
don't like
everybody
nice things.
feels like they're right
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And if they're not a part of something, that disclusion may make people
But-
feel like they need to point.
Also,
the flag.
people are
But
scared
here's-
of
here's-
change.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing. How is there an exclusion? You're doing it to yourself. If you want to be part of the cool crowd, and I can't believe Pokemon and cool crowd is in the same conversation,
Yeah.
you can download the app.
Exactly.
I think the thing is, with all the negative backlash that like our generation gets, or like our society, that we are so obsessed with technology, like this is the best you can make of it. We are obsessed with our phones, but now, yeah, you're getting people to go out and do stuff. So I guess
And to talk to
you're
each
making
other.
it into a positive.
Actual human interaction.
Do that. So yeah, we have our phones, but now we're like making something good from it.